I'm an associate broker at a real estate firm here called uh, HomeSmart. And I got a call for a girl who was in a homeless shelter with two young boys. I've gotten them before. So I do rental properties only kind of sort of for that kind of thing, uh, because they'll be with my own company individual. And this girl had two young boys, was in the homeless shelter because of domestic violence. So uh, when you're doing rentals, they want you to have, application, to have a job with your credit score, this kind of thing. And there are people out there who just can't jump through those hoops. So I will say I will be more lenient on because I can do that on my personal properties. I can't do that when I'm doing it for someone else. So I'm like, okay, well, let me see what is the situation and I'll evaluate the situation. Her being in a homeless shelter, I have 5 days left and they're going to kick me out because I've been here and they're going to kick me out. 100 and something degrees outside, two children. So they're going to kick her out. I said, okay, well, let me talk to your worker. Let me see what we can do. I got a place. I got a 1 bedroom, and they said they'll help you with that. So we're doing the paperwork and they're taking their time. The government situation, they take their time in trying to get everything through. And I'm rushing. She has no transportation. So I'm going to pick her up from the homeless shelter. Let me show you the place. Okay, let me take you back to the homeless shelter. Okay, now let me take you back to this. So we were doing that. Finally got the paperwork done. I said, I told her we can't wait. She's getting kicked out. She needs to know like right away. So what I'm going to do is allow her to be in there because I know that I'm going to approve her. And will help her find work and all that kind of thing. It's a secure, the building, the complex is secure, security gate. My property itself, the door is a secure, door, metal door. So we get her in there and she said, well, they're going to help me with, furniture. They're going to get me a blow up bed. And I'm like, oh, okay, because you don't have anything. So, okay, fine. I go back to Connor almost a month later, maybe like 3 weeks later, and I go back just to check on her, and I'm like, so didn't they get you a blow-up bed? You don't have a bed to sleep on with your boys? She said, well, they said they were, but they didn't. I'm like, oh, this is unacceptable. So I find one of my previous tenants who had bought a new bed, but it didn't fit where they wanted to do. And he happened to be someone he had a truck and he does transportation because I really couldn't afford for them to be paying to move the bed. I'm like, well, can you donate? He said, yeah. I said, can you move it in? It's upstairs, it's only 2 stories, but it's upstairs. He said, yeah. So he does. And so I have some other real estate agents who donate, bedding and, the different stuff that we need so that she can make up the bed. And then the 3 kids, is a queen size or something so they can sleep on the bed. So we do that. I go back another time and say, well, so they're going to help you with furniture. She said, yeah, they are. Nothing. They're eating on the floor. They have nowhere to sit but the bed. And I email her worker and I'm like, I thought you guys were going to help her with, oh, no, yeah, we don't do that. I'm like, but you told her that you were going to. Yeah, So I have another unit that has furniture in it and I give her this nice modern, even though she's got children, it's white, but it's like leather, like so all white, the L. One of them lets down into the bed. The other one lets down also. One lets down to a twin bed because it's that L thing. And the other part can let down into just like a full size so that the boys have somewhere to sleep. And then the mom has that. And then I bring in, we have pillows and, pieces that she can have. And someone, I guess, eventually donated her a table. So she had a table where they could eat and all that. And I go back over, and this girl had done the most amazing thing. I don't know. I guess maybe she started getting on her feet or whatever. She had it so fixed up cute. She was putting backsplashes on the kitchen and all this stuff. So we made sure that she had all that. And I would go back and check. And the worker told me that the children, they were young, like the youngest wasn't in kindergarten yet, and the other one might have been in like first grade. And they had watched the father abuse her. So that's what they thought they should do and how they should talk to her. And I was trying to talk to one of the boys and I said, well, does he understand me? Does he speak English? And she said, yeah. I said, because I was going to get my worker who was painting and doing some things in there he speaks Spanish. I'm like, tell him he needs to stop doing that and tell him that, And she said, no, he speaks. I said, so he's just simply intentionally ignoring me. I'm a female. She gets nothing. And he just, she told me the worker said that they attack her and stuff. And I'm like, what? So I pulled her to the side. I said, I understand you got a lot that you're going on or whatever. I said, but you cannot let that young boy, that young age, speak to you and talk to you like that. I said, because there'll become a day where he'll be taller than you and stronger than you. And you're not going to, if you don't get a grip on this right now, I said, I know that's none of my business. I'm a real estate agent and I shouldn't be in your business like that. But she said, oh, no, 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 and she started confiding in me more than the worker. So the worker said, can you have her find out if she knows where that guy is staying and everything? I'm like, she didn't tell you. She's like, no. So I asked her, she said, no, I don't know where he is. However, he went to my mother's house and shot it up with a gun, her mother's house. He went to her friend's house and shot it up with a gun. He's staying on the street, but I know the area in where the street where he's staying. And I'm like, what? Thank God we're secured. He couldn't get in. But I told the worker and they said, yeah. So they reported it, filed a claim, so the police could know. They couldn't find him because there's nowhere to go serve. He's on the street, living on the street. I said, well, my God, Trump's kicking all these people out of the country. We got someone here doing that, and he's getting to do whatever the heck he's wanting. He's shooting up everywhere. And one of the people who stay there is another real estate agent. And he said, Silver, we can't have him coming over here doing that. I live here. He can't be coming over here doing that. I'm like, I know. So that was fine. Just a matter of 30 days ago, the children don't know any better. The child let the man into the house because it's like, oh, daddy. And he opens the door and lets the man in. And somebody there or she was able to find a way to call the police. So the other real estate agent shows me pictures. This happened in your unit last, 3 days ago or whatever. Someone's being taken to jail. So I contact her. It was him being taken to jail. And she says he has a trial in August. I said, well, are they going to keep him? She said, well, he's got a trial on August 12th. I'm like, good. I hope that they can keep him. She said, well, those other charges, when he shot up the mother's house and the friend's house, those charges are on the book. So maybe they will keep him and he will be able to. So she was just grateful just to get set up and, put that sleeping on the floor and you got your kids eating on the floor and there's nowhere to sit and you got nowhere to sleep and you're sleeping on a hard floor. And there wasn't carpet. Well, there's carpet in the bedroom, but the other floors were like wood and big tile, decent, nice place in that. Yeah, it was just really crazy. I couldn't believe it. And because of
I
that one, they got me another girl who I got into another property. She was homeless in the homeless shelter, but it wasn't from abuse. She was just homeless. And I went to go start helping her because you're like, well, you need a job and you're right down the street from the Goodwill. I know that they hire and let me do this and that. So I went, she told me what she did. I knew a place. I went there and the guy goes, why are you doing this? And I said, no one ever asked me that before. I never thought about that. It's just because it has to be done and she needs a job and I knew where to go. And so I just do it. I know it has nothing to do with real estate, but it kind of does, but it doesn't. So that's what I did.
That's amazing. So these properties, the properties that the ladies that you were generously able to help the ladies with, they were actually your personal properties.
Yeah, I put them on the market to the public, but if I get something like that, I'll do that priority. They'll get that priority because I had one of those workers come and every time they see one of my properties, like, God, I would live in one of your properties myself because they're nice and they don't expect to get nice things. They don't feel like that those people deserve to have a nice home. And it changes them. I had one guy who was some young kid. He was like sagging and bagging and talking crazy and cussing and everything. And he was homeless. Put him in the property. I told him he had to keep it up. He had to do this and that. And his mother's like, I know you probably think I should have him at home, but I'm afraid of him, what he does with the other kids and that. And thank you for helping him. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm not his mother. I don't have children, but I'm going to be his aunt and I'm going to tell him what to do. He's going to do that. You need to change your voicemail. You need to do this. You need to do that. This kid went from talking like saggy baggy, how they're talking, cussing and everything like that, to yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And I didn't really get, I just told him, you need to do this. Let me tell you what they're going to do to you. They expect you to act like that. They expect that. And you got this nice place. When you give someone something nice, they did a movie about that. It will change them. They change. They change because they're expected to get some piece of crud place full of problems or whatever. And when you get something nice, they will try and keep it nice. I left furniture in there for that kid. And, they try to keep it up as best they can because, they would give opportunity to get something nice.
Wow, that is incredible. So I was just curious. I love what you're doing. How are they able to, is a program paying the rent for the individuals who were
They
previous?
start, yeah, they're getting them on their feet. Like, so the one girl, the workers will contact me. She's not going out and looking. I'm like, because she's so depressed, but for work. So they try to help them. So they'll pay up to a certain point for them to be there. And then once they get work, if the work isn't covering it, so then now, okay, so now you have to, because they got to learn to be responsible. So now we're going to pay a certain percentage and then they will pay. So maybe they're paying $200 because their job isn't, all that. And then they pay the rest. So they're helping, or help with the utilities. And some of them I try to have the utilities included, the rent amount, so it can cover that and put it on a budget plan or whatever. But yeah, that's what they have to do. The last one I just emailed her yesterday or a couple of days ago and said, well, did you find a job yet? Because I had found a job for her. The guy told me he would hire her and she doesn't have a car. I said, I'll pick her up and take her for the interview, and she wouldn't follow through. I'm like, okay. I did try, and if your worker says, you got X amount of time to do that. So when I contacted the other day, oh yeah, I just started a new job. I had one, but I quit it. But I just started a new job. I'm like, okay, great, because they'll supply and help them along to get on their feet, and they might help them for a whole year as long as they're doing their things that they have to do, where they have to work and they have to do these things, but they'll help them. Certain percentage, so they're not eating up all their income, and they got two children and that kind of thing.
That is
Although,
really good to know. I am so sorry to interrupt. We're over time because you're the
yeah,
last
oh,
person.
Trump is ending some of that, and I'm wondering what's going to happen with these people who need food. By the way, I don't know what they're going to. What are they
Horrible.
going to? I don't know.
Silver Days. I love that name.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for the work you do. Could you
Oh,
tell us about any project? Oh, sorry.
yes, I was just going to say that because I know you're short of time. I'm on Facebook at Silver A Days for my real estate. On my acting, I have a movie that's streaming on Prime right now that I got a part in that. It's called Abigail's Mysteries. It's kind of like a lifetime fun, feel good kind of movie. I'm in on that one, Abigail's Mystery, and it's on streaming on Prime. And I've done commercials and stuff like that, and I'm on Casting Network as you found me. So yeah.
Amazing. So, okay, so if anyone wants to reach out to cast you in anything, they would go to casting networks or maybe your own website. I'm not sure if you have social media or website or anything like that.
What I do social media is only is for the real estate. The other one, I was signed with Deborah Maddock Agency, and I'm in the middle of changing the network. The agency that I want to sign with is going to have me on what is this new what
Um,
is it? Um Instagram. And then I'll be on
Instagram.
Instagram and I'll still be on Casting Network and those kind of things. So yeah, they can find me on that. IBM, I mean, because I produced some independent films that you'll see if you look me up on that or Google my name. So yeah.
Perfect. Silver Days. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank
I
you
I
for
just want to
having
thank
us.
you again for sharing your acts of kindness. Thank you for being kind and making the world a kinder, soft, like warmer place. I really do thank you for that. It really does matter and it does impact people's lives in a positive way. So I really do
I
thank you
guess
for
I
that.
really should learn because I just had a Zoom class yesterday on auditions. I guess I really should be learning